The place where I was doing the class is Embrace. It's a comprehensive convert care organization. So it's under the banner of ICNA. So it's run by converts for converts. So specifically for converts, the stat that I'm aware of is that 7 out of 10 converts will leave Islam. That is a really startling number, especially with how much effort and how much work that we put into trying to connect with new Muslims. When people are leaving Islam, a lot of times it's because it doesn't feel right anymore, or that was something that was right at the time, but it's not right now. So it's this very subjective reasoning when you ask people about why they've left Islam. The Why Islam is True course felt like the perfect way to kind of unravel those thoughts and feelings that people have around religion in general, and then specifically root them within Islam.
The number of Muslims in prison is much higher than most people would think or would expect. There are so many people incarcerated in this country who are embracing Islam, but then also in my experience, I've seen just as many of them end up leaving Islam because they have doubts, and then ways to get those doubts answered, because they're really isolated in prison, and there's not a lot of Muslims coming into prisons to help them. There aren't a lot of Muslim chaplains to teach them. So having a course like this where the guys can really understand what it means to be a Muslim and why we believe, help them be secure in their faith and not be at risk of leaving Islam either later on in their incarceration or when they go home to family members who are not Muslim, and challenge them on their faith. They have that secure foundation for believing what they believe.
I struggled with answering a lot of questions because being a new Muslim invites a lot of people to ask you, why did you become a Muslim? But that it was just a matter of faith. I didn't realize it was actually a matter of evidence. So in order to study, I was kind of like a little bit blind. So I just made dua to Allah. And then one day, this advert came up on my phone. Sheikh Hamza Karamali, he was advertising Why Islam is True course, and it was like a free 4 videos or whatever, and I clicked on it and I watched them, and alhamdulillah, subhanallah, it was just made sense. It was broken down in such a piecemeal way. I was like, I need to learn from this guy. Then I took the Why Islam is True course, and everything was broken down in a simple manner. It took away all my uncertainty. Why Islam True course has actually given me 100% certainty in my religion. Anytime I have a conversation with someone about Islam, I really am very confident in having those conversations. Whereas prior to that, I really struggled. But the Why Islam is True course gave me the ability to formulate these arguments in a very concise and convincing manner. I watched a lot of debates online with the atheists versus the Muslims. So you hear a lot of the argument from contingency. So I had a basic understanding of the argument from contingency, but it wasn't until when I took the course and Sheikh Hamza broke down the argument from contingency in a sort of easily digestible way, how he uses the 2 premises and the conclusion, and then how he used the Quran, so the verses from the Quran like Ayat al-Kursi, for example, and the parallel was linked because the argument from contingency will illustrate how there must be a necessary being on which the universe depends. However, that could be for any god, but it's not until Sheikh Hamza shows how the Quran directly links with the argument from contingency, and that for me was kind of like the eureka moment, that increased my iman, increased my belief, and took away all uncertainty in the religion. Being part of the New Muslim Study Circle, we have like a weekly halaqah. And a lot of new converts obviously come quite a lot, and we have conversations. Some of the guys who run the New Muslim halaqah, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they come in after taking their shahada on quite a spiritual high, and then they attend quite regularly on the Monday, and eventually they just start dipping out. And we've been actually having conversations about how we can sort of like strengthen people's belief system, because the spiritual high is one aspect, and the problem is like even Christians get the spiritual high. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the right path. So people need to understand that why Islam is true in the real sense. Like, why is Islam true? They need to know. And what this course does is it breaks that down. And I think for new Muslims, especially, this would be, very, very beneficial to keep them on the path, keep them from straying off the path. Because if your Islam is based on, like Sheikh Hamza says, if your Islam is based on a preference and it's not based on evidence, then any little argument against Islam can take you off of the path. If somebody formulates an argument against Islam and you don't know why Islam is true, then that can easily knock you off. It's not until you have the fundamentals in place that this course gives you, that will keep you on the path. Do you know what I mean? So alhamdulillah.